Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Wake Up Call of Dr. Jeff LaCure. Thrilled to be here with you again today. And this episode of my podcast is sponsored and brought to you by Facts and Truth. And today, those facts and truth will be irrefutable. I did get, as expected, a lot of feedback, most of it very positive about my podcast last week about what men look for in women. But I did receive some emails that I'm going to just sort of paraphrase to you, and I'm obviously going to comment on. And you know what made people the most upset. I actually had one person accuse me of body shaming when I talked about that men do not look for extremes, either extremely heavy, and I think I mentioned someone being 350 pounds or someone weighing 84 pounds. And I had somebody actually email me and said, I'm really upset at you, Dr. Jeff, because you said, no one's going to find a woman with a really large stomach, sexy, and I believe she said, I weigh almost 375, and my boyfriend loves every pound of me. And the reality is, emotionally, he may love you. But unless he has a fetish, he's not thrilled with 375 pounds. Again, this episode, this podcast of Your Wake Up Call is brought to you by Truth and Fact. So I have the courage to state the facts, to bring you the truth. You decide what works for you. But again, in no way, shape, or form am I ever here to body shame anyone. We do not need to live with shame as human beings. And I'm also going to talk about guys today. I'm excited to talk with you today about what women look for in men. And first and foremost, men. Women look for men, not males. They look for men. And I'll talk with you today about what that looks like. But here's the interesting thing. Men, because we are hardwired, we fall in love with our eyes, look for beauty, look for attractiveness. And I'm not suggesting that women don't look for handsome, good-looking men, because they do. But women actually fall in love with their ears. And let me explain what I mean by that. What I mean by that is what they hear has greater value to them than what they see. So guys, as a little tip to you, think about what you actually say to someone or to your partner or to your fiance or to your wife. What do you actually say? Because trust me, women are listening. So again, I'm not suggesting that women aren't looking for handsome men, but the lists are different. See, number one on a guy's list is how she looks. Ironically, number one on a woman's list, and I don't even know if all women actually will acknowledge this, is they look for men who are really successful. See, women's DNA, you are hardwired to procreate with the most successful, powerful man you can, because that's an indicator that he's got great genes. And let me prove the point to you. If you look at all successful men, if you look at men in athletics, professional athletics, you look at various careers, if you look at musical performers, actors who have had a level of achievement, and then you look at their partners, show me one. Email me a picture of one successful athlete who has an unattractive partner. It doesn't happen. They're always beautiful. They're always culturally beautiful. And yet, if you look at the men, actors, athletes, other successful professionals, they're not always handsome. See, men rarely make that exception. Women make that exception all the time if he's successful. See, successful men is very sexy to women. Very sexy to women. And again, I'm not going to career shame somebody, but if you're a guy and you're working at, say, IHOP, and you're working the 3 to 11 shift, I don't care how good looking you are. No woman goes home and tells her family, oh, I met my dream man today. Oh, really? What's he do? See, rarely do they ask, how's he look? They'll say, oh, what's he do? And if you don't say doctor, lawyer, professional athlete, or broker or something like that, say he's a waiter at IHOP making minimum wage plus tips. And they'll be like, Yeah, he's a nice guy. Nice guy. He's a good guy. Whatever. I'm telling you right now, successful men are sought out by successful women, are sought out by confident women. So, number one on the list of what women look for in men are successful, powerful, confident men that they could be proud to be with. I forget who said it. I believe it's a Jewish saying that a man is 10 feet tall. A short man is 10 feet tall when he stands on his money. And yes, money is an indicator of success, of power. Actually, if you look at the animal kingdom, right? Look at the animal kingdom, and the male animals have to look a certain way because we're trying to get your attention. How do we do it culturally? We drive nice cars. We try to dress well. We try to smell well. We try to look well. We try to do a lot of things that will make us stand out as an indicator that we're successful. I frequently joke with my fiance. On our first date, I showed up in a wonderful Audi TT convertible, still miss that car. And I joke with her. If I had showed up in a 1984 Hyundai, not a sponsor, would you have dated me? And she jokes and says, no, I still would. But trust me, the car made a difference, right? And again, it was an indicator that I must have some degree of status or maybe a ton of debt. Secretively, a little of both. What else do women look for in men? They do look for looks. And guys, now it's your turn to feel squirrely. Now it's your turn to feel insecure. And what do women almost genetically, subconsciously look for in men? They look for shoulder to waist ratio. They do look for broad shoulders and a slimmer waist. What does that tell her, sort of, her DNA? Hey, this guy's got good DNA and he's going to help me produce children with really good DNA, children who are going to be strong and successful and maybe even look good. Women find pecs really sexy. Women find big arms and shoulders really sexy. Women find muscular legs really sexy. And because of the way society has changed, we used to think of a six-pack as a alcoholic beverage that someone might have on the weekend. Nope. Six-pack now means abs, and abs have become very, very sought after for women. In the same way that men do not like big bellies on women, guess what? Women don't find men with big bellies sexy. But here's the thing about women. You are willing to overlook that if he's successful. You are willing to overlook that if he's confident. But no woman wakes up or puts an ad out on Match.com, not a sponsor, you should be, and says, I'm looking for a guy who looks like he's 8 months pregnant. She doesn't find it sexy. However, she is willing to overlook it frequently if he brings other things to the table. I'm telling you, as I said in last week's podcast, men won't overlook that. They just don't. So you can send your cards and letters, and you can email me at LaCure. J@Yahoo, and I'll certainly respond to all your emails because I know people are saying he's body shaming again. No, I'm not. I'm being honest. Don't shoot the messenger. You know what else women really look for and find incredibly sexy in men? And actually, for a lot of women, it's a deal breaker if men don't have this. Confidence. Women find confidence incredibly sexy and incredibly appealing. And again, I think one of the things that separates males from men is males by definition are insecure and men by definition are confident. Please understand, no woman finds cocky particularly attractive. Although here's an interesting sort of almost double standard that guys have to go through, and it stinks. But women, I think you've helped create it, so you get full credit for it. Guess who's never home alone on a Saturday night? That's right, bad boys. Guys who drive too fast, guys who are a little rough around the edges. A lot of women, in almost maternally, internally, are like, "Oh, I'll change them. Oh, I'll change them." See, because a big turnoff for women is boredom. And so the nice guy is at home on a Saturday night. The really good guy is at home alone on a Saturday night. Why? Because, ladies, if you want to kill a guy's confidence, if you want to guarantee he's not getting a second date with you, tell him he's a really nice guy. Because nice guy translates into boring, right? And boring is a huge turnoff for women. Women are looking for exciting guys. Women are looking for guys who are going places. Women actually love when a guy says, here's what we're going to do for the date, instead of, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Right? Sort of that take charge, confident type of thing. And remember, men find confident women incredibly sexy, incredibly beautiful. It really is. A confident woman on a scale of 1 to 10 who's a 6 is suddenly an 8.5 because she's confident. And confident sort of covers up maybe some of your physical flaws. And we all have our physical flaws. But confidence is incredibly sexy. Insecurity, not sexy. Guys, if you want to seal the deal that you're going to be alone, ask your future girlfriend or your current girlfriend, fiance, or wife, who'd you talk to today? Did you look at any guys? You're right. I mentioned that. That's the same for guys. We hate that when women do it to us. Trust me, guys, women hate if we do that to them. As a matter of fact, a confident guy is thrilled that someone noticed his girlfriend today. You don't need to ask your partner about it. Let her be excited about that fact. But again, confidence is so important. Being trustworthy is important. And I am going to do a podcast, and I think I might do it next week. I might wait 2 weeks, but I think I might do it next week on why men cheat. I'm not saying women don't cheat, but men cheat. Men cheat all the time. All the time. And I'm going to try to help you become cheat proof. And I'm also going to help you try to understand why so many men cheat. And I said men. I'm not just saying males cheat, men cheat. And we'll talk about why that happens. But women love a guy that they can trust, right? They're not looking for a player, right? They're looking for an edgy guy. They're not looking for a boring guy. But they don't want a player. They don't want a guy they have to worry about every time they go out with their friends. They're getting cheated on. Every time they go on a business trip, they're getting cheated on. And by the way, in many cases, that is happening. But they want somebody that they can trust. They want somebody who, when that guy says something, they can believe it. Trustworthy, guys, is incredibly sexy. A lot of guys see being trustworthy as a vulnerability. I'm telling you, man to man, being trustworthy, that your word is your word, is incredibly sexy to women. Being honest is something that women look for. They look for honest partners. People who aren't just honest with them, but they lead an honest and authentic life. Think about that for a second. They lead an honest and authentic life. They're genuine. They are who they are. They are who they are with you, and they are who you are without you. Just the other day, my fiance said, not a sponsor. That'd be outstanding if I get my fiance to be a sponsor of the show. Sponsored by Abigail. Said, one of the things that I really like about you, and I go, what's that? I was hopeful there was some things. And she said, you're like a 5-year-old child. And you know what's funny, folks? I'm like a 5-year-old child as a parent, as a coach, and as a professional. I'm consistent. There's a little playful boy inside of me, right, that thinks like that 5-year-old kid, who sometimes says things like a 5-year-old kid. And you know what I found out? At least with my partner, that's actually appealing. Oh, no, I'm not a child. I don't act like a child. What she's alluding to is there's this little 5-year-old boy who comes out every now and then and says some very interesting things, which leads me to my next biggie. Guys, if you want to get the girl, this is what women love. Women love to laugh. They love to laugh. A guy who is a 6 on a look scale of 1 to 10, if he can make a woman laugh, she finds that so incredibly appealing, so sexy, which is why, look at most stand-up comics, right? They're not overly attractive, but when you interview a lot of male stand-up comics, they'll tell you, they get action after the show. Why? They're in a position of power. They're in a position of envy. Many of them are making an okay living, but most importantly, they made us laugh. And when we laugh, it releases all the good oxytocin in our brain. We feel good and we feel connected. Ironically, men love women with a great sense of humor, but they don't want to date a jokester. We want to be the jokester. So think about that, ladies. Don't be funnier than the guy. I mean that. Be funny, but don't be funnier than the guy. The guy wants to be the stand-up comic in the relationship. And the good news is, guys, women find that stand-up comic incredibly appealing. So appealing. Here's a critical X factor. Women, I'm giving you an advanced you're welcome. You know, I'm not doing this for thanks, but I'll accept your thanks and your gratitude. Chemistry is so important. Chemistry is so important. And one of the things women find incredibly intoxicating, that's right, I said intoxicating, incredibly appealing, and what every woman has on her wish list is that he is an outstanding kisser. And you can tell right away if the guy you're kissing is a great kisser or not. And I mentioned it the last podcast. Men have a lot of nerves here that are stimulated by kissing, but women have even more nerves. And the whole experience can be electric. And what's one of the first complaints I hear in my office working with couples is that the guy stops kissing his partner, which is why I'm definitely going to be doing a podcast on how you can have great sexual chemistry with your partner and how to keep that electricity and spark alive for as long as you can. And for women, it isn't just a request. It's a scientific need. They need to be with a partner. They find it incredibly intoxicating if he's a great kisser. They look for that. I think that's where the phrase kissed a lot of frogs came from. You used to think it meant looking for my prince who turned into it was a frog turned into a prince. No, I think they meant they kissed a lot of really bad kissers. And if you think about a frog or a toad, man, it's that whole tongue thing just coming at you like some crazy Komodo dragon, big massive tongue coming at you. That's not a good kisser. It's an art form, and women are looking for kissing artists. And guys, here's a special tip for you ladies. I'm going to share a little bit of your secret women's code. This isn't for the first date, right? First date's getting to know each other, and maybe a wonderful kiss goodnight, maybe one that lasts for several seconds, if not a few minutes. But when you have that wonderful moment of privacy, guys, if you want to be sort of the ninja of making out, if you want to be the top dog of making out, first of all, keep your tongue under control. And secondly, press her up against the wall. Women are wired to be pressed up against the wall and have a great makeout session. And a guy who's a 6 on the lookout score, who knows how to kiss, is all of a sudden a 9.5. Hell, he's a 12. He's a 12 because a woman will, after a great kiss, will always do this. Huh. And guys, if you don't get a you're not an artist. You're not an artist. You got to work on being an artist. Every woman who's ever been kissed by that guy knows what I mean because you've had that moment. That's what it's about. It's about great chemistry, right? And great chemistry for women is facilitated, is reinforced by a great kiss. Well, I'm talking about kiss and kissing and making out. Guys, I'll tell you what women can't stand. It's a massive turnoff for them. Massive. But you can keep doing it. Wear your work socks. Those beautiful black goofy socks or whatever socks you wear that never match your pants properly. Look, I'm not even wearing socks. I don't even know if that's an on or an off, but I'm not wearing socks today. But I'm not wearing goofy black socks. Wear your goofy work black socks to bed with your tighty-whitey underwear and then your stained white tank top t-shirt and ask your wife if she's totally aroused right now. And the answer is no, 0. And it doesn't mean she doesn't love you. It doesn't mean she doesn't find you attractive. But no woman finds it attractive that a guy came to bed in his socks and now is trying to make a move on you. You know what it says to a woman? I don't even need to try. I don't even need to try. I'm wearing my work socks. So guys, keep buying tidy whities and keep wearing your black work socks, your dress socks to bed, and then you can wonder why your sex life has went like that. Okay? Women are just like men. They like to be sought after. They want to know that as a guy, you find them attractive, that you're willing to put in the time and the effort. Here's another thing that women really, I've told you, they don't like it. So guys, keep doing it. And then you'll be single for a long time, or you'll just have a lousy relationship. Women don't find this a turn on at all. They love when you take a shower because cleanliness, right, is a turn on. But don't put on your cologne. Don't put on your cologne just before you come to bed, right? Just take a shower and smell nice and clean, and she will be blown away. But what happens is a lot of guys will like spray on their cologne. And since I don't have any cologne companies as a sponsor right now of the Wake Up Call, I'm not mentioning any of them, right? But if it's a spray or it's called Axe, not a sponsor, they're not turned on by that. They're just not. And in a weird way, when you put on the cologne, guys, it's almost like you're saying, your cologne is saying, hey, we're about to get busy. Women don't find that appealing at all. See, women love to be desired, and they look for men who will desire them. Women look to be sort of the lottery prize, and they look for men who will treat them as such. And taking a shower and then putting on your black socks and your tidy whities and putting on cologne and expecting her to be really yay me, not going to work. Here's another thing that I find fascinating, and I found it fascinating in what men look for in women, but women look for this in men as well. It turns a guy on the 6 scale to a beautiful man instantly, which is good father material. And how does a woman know that a guy has the potential to be a great dad? She watches how he reacts and responds to his own mom. I'm going to say it again. She watches how he reacts and responds and interrelates and connects with his own mom. If he treats his mom with great respect and dignity and with love and kindness and grace, she absorbs that, saying, this guy will be a great partner and will respect me, which is the number one thing any great father does, is shows his partner in front of his children great respect. Phenomenal respect. Even if you get divorced, I'll do that podcast later too. A great man will treat the mother of his children with the utmost of respect and dignity and class because his children deserve that. And any great father wants his kids, even if it's a divorce, to have the best relationship with his or with their mom, with his ex-wife. And guess what, folks? That's right, I'm a shrink. I do this stuff all the time. But I learned from a great one. And my father, there it is. I mentioned my dad last week. I hope he's up in heaven smiling down on me because I got the message, Dad. I heard you. I tried to live it. He was so funny sometimes, but he adored my mom. And we watched him, my brother-in-law and I, adore my mom. Treat her with kindness and love and respect. And we'd be sitting in a living room watching a show and a commercial would come on. And out of the blue, my dad, who was not a drinker, so he wasn't drunk, would say, hey, Junior. And again, I'm not a junior, but he called me Junior all the time. And he'd point to my mom. And he'd say, see that woman right there? And I'd be, oh, yeah, Dad. And he'd say it 10 times a year. I knew what he was going to say, but I acted like it was the first time I heard it. He goes, see that woman right there? She's always going to be number one. Always going to be number one. And you will always be number two. And you know what? He was right. He was right. My mom was supposed to be number one. And guess what all children want, ladies and gentlemen? They want happy parents. And you know what? I was blessed to be raised by happy parents because they put each other first. And my brother and I recognized we were 1B. But that's the way it's supposed to be. That's circle of life stuff. That's Lion King stuff. And that's what women are looking for in men. They want somebody who will be a great father. And how do you demonstrate you're going to be a great father? You're a great partner, and you put your partner first. I'm not saying as a couple you never compromise, and sometimes you do have to put your children's needs first. But you don't sacrifice your own needs to do it. So let me summarize what ladies look for in men. They look for successful men. They look for confident men. They look for men who are honest. They look for men who are in touch with their emotions and who can share them. They look for men who aren't jealous. Insecure men are jealous. Confident men are proud. Insecure men are jealous. Insecure men don't want you to look good. Insecure men don't want their partner to be successful. Confident men want you to be the best you ever, the best person you can be. They want you to look your best. They want you to feel your best. They want you to show your best. And women look for men who have a wonderful sense of humor, a sense of humor that doesn't make fun of others, but they can make fun of themselves. And that is a beautiful balance that is hard to find. And finally, again, they look for chemistry. Women are looking for excellent kissers. And quite frankly, on behalf of men, I'll tell you right now, I know it because I've worked with so many couples, hundreds of couples, in my office of beautiful downtown Holliston for all your couples counseling needs. Many women complain that their partners just either no longer kiss them or are just aren't good at it. And if you want to be an outstanding lover, you're honest, you're confident, you're compassionate, and you're an outstanding kisser. I think we should leave it at that. You know what, folks? This is another episode of The Wake Up Call, brought to you by Truth and Fact, hopefully with just a little sprinkle of humor and kindness and grace. And to every woman watching the show, please don't use the cop-out excuse that the guys and the men that I just described don't exist. They exist. And I promise you, they're looking for you. You have to look inside first, figure out your own stuff, figure out what you need to do to be as attractive as possible to find this kind of man, and you will. Until next time, folks, this has been your wake-up call.